Welcome, sports fans, to the hottest sports podcast in the game, JT and the Don, with your hosts, Jimmy Thompson and Donato Bucci. They're covering the most current issues in sports from the 305 to the 412 and all the way to the West Coast. You can follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at JT and the Don, or email them at jtandthedon@gmail.com. Now take it away, guys.
Welcome to the next episode of JT and the Don, presented by Give Us a Shot Network. You can find us on all of the major platforms, and remember to subscribe to us and leave us a 5-star review. Thank you to Nicole Thompson for the great introduction, and to our guy Mike Regina with the JT and the Don intro music. We've got a big show tonight. We're going to talk a little bit of the NFL draft, recap that. We're going to get into Lamar's big contract, JT's favorite player, and a little bit of the NBA. But first, let me welcome in everyone's favorite, JT Jimmy Thompson. How you feeling today?
So that's how we're going to start the show. Like,
Oh,
say you hate the guy.
Did I say anything that was not true? That's your favorite player.
I feel like you just hate this guy for no reason. No,
I do not.
That was uncalled for.
I do
You
not.
sound so upset that somebody who earned a raise got a raise.
I've been saying he should get paid. I don't understand why you think I don't like him.
I know why you
get paid.
I know why you don't
He
like him.
plays for the
Because
Ravens.
he's
I'm
a
not gonna
Baltimore
root for
Raven.
him. I'm not
Which
going to
is
root
exactly
for him.
wear this hat to piss you off.
I'm glad, because obviously you're not a Dolphins fan.
I am.
Because
I
you're
got
not wearing
my
the Dolphins
Tua
hat.
shirt here.
But
I got my Dolphins hat here.
really
Hey,
quick,
look, man.
you're either
Look,
not a Dolphins
I don't
fan
know
or
how
you're
many times I
confused.
got to explain this
Or
to
you're
you. I like the
confused.
Ravens for certain reasons. The same reasons that you should like them, other than they play in a division with the Steelers.
No, that would be like
It's
saying,
UM North.
Yeah,
It's
but that would
always
be like,
been UM
you
North.
would never root for New England, even if they had 11 starters from Miami. Like, you just
I might have to think about
Yeah.
it, but hey, I don't have to deal with that problem. So
all right.
you're talking about hyperbole, things that don't exist.
Well, anything. Anyway, I wore this shirt just for you. They have a college team named after me, the University of San Francisco Dons. Great basketball players have come out of that program. So,
They just like you
gotta rep
going
your
nowhere
team.
fast.
You got to rep your team. You got to rep your team. So,
So hold on. Aren't you a Canes fan? And isn't Robert Morris your basketball team? Why are you wearing that? See?
of course, but there's a difference there, right? They don't play each other. They're really not even in the same league. And on top of that, it's named after me. So I think I'm allowed to root for them too. They're my third team behind
Whatever
Robert
you
Morris
say.
in Miami.
He said rules for thee, not for me. All right, can we get started?
Hold on. Speaking of being a fan, right now, I believe I have it on here in the DC studio, is the Miami Heat game. That goes to show you how he's not even a Heat fan.
I'm sorry that I'm not rich enough to have a TV in the room while I'm doing this show. I don't have that option.
It's not even that. The thing is, you have a show when your team, supposedly your NBA team, is playing.
Hey, do I get to call off work just because my team is playing on TV? Hey, we have a job to do. And if you would be quiet, we can start the show. Can we start?
7:30.
Oh my God. Well, he can keep talking, guys. We're gonna get started. Can't start the show without the NFL draft. We're going to recap that. A lot of things went down, a lot of trades, a lot of good players were selected. So we're going to go through this, kind of give you our thoughts and opinions on who went where, who did good, who did bad. So you know how this goes. Don, let's start off. What was the best pick of the draft?
It was at number 17. The Patriots actually traded down and still got Christian Gonzalez, who I think's the best corner in this draft. Witherspoon is right there with him. But when you can trade down, JT, get extra capital, and still be at number 17 and get a guy. And listen, New England knows how to draft corners, right? They know how to draft the secondary. You can go back for years, whether it's Ty Law or whoever else, it may be with Stephon Gilmore. They know talent at those positions when they see it. And I think that was the best pick.
Yeah, I know you're a big Gonzalez fan, man, and it was perfect for him to go to the Patriots. I got to go with another cornerback, and I'm surprised you didn't pick this guy, because we both, when round 2 started, we're like, how is he there? And then we're like, there's no way he can't be the first pick of the second round. That's your guy, Joey Porter Jr., going to the Steelers. You want to talk about a run on corners, it could easily be an argument could be made that he was the third best corner in this draft. And you look at other corners and DBs that got taken in round 1. Gonzalez, I'm not going to argue with. Witherspoon, we both think he's elite, but Joey Porter to me was number 3. And for him to not go in the first round when other corners got drafted, I mean, a gift given to the Steelers. And then all the feel-good story, obviously Joey Porter, his dad is a Steelers legend, for him to be in the draft where his dad grew up in Kansas City, but also to be drafted by the Steelers. It's an amazing story, but you guys got an elite player in the second round. That's the best pick.
Well, you stole my thunder a little bit because he was going to be my steal of the draft, but I'll have someone else.
All right, so let's flip it around. What's the worst pick? I'm really interested to see where you're going on this.
Listen, I don't like to do it. Listen, I'm a special teams coordinator at heart, so I don't like to do this. But it was Jake Moody, 3rd round, JT, 3rd round, taking a kicker. Listen, I'm going to get into this more, but for now, let's just leave it at that. It is 3rd round kicker, Jake Moody. And I'll tell you why. Yes, he's got a leg, but JT, it's not like he was 100% or 99%. We saw him in some crucial moments late in the year miss field goals. So to me, I'm like, he would have been there in the 4th round. Easily, maybe the 5th or 6th, but in the 4th, he still probably would have been there, even though New England took one in the 4th as well, and they actually traded up for the guy.
Yeah, but New England does those kind of things.
Exactly.
We expect that from them.
So listen, worst pick to me, and it's nothing against him. It's just the position and where they took him is Jake Moody.
I can get with you on that. I got to stay true to what I was talking about in our draft preview show. And I hate to do this, but it ended up really being the worst pick. It is Jahmyr Gibbs going number 12 overall to the Detroit Lions. Now, the funny thing is, when we were talking about why I thought he was going to be one of the busts of the draft, I gave you all the information. I said he wasn't really good as a runner on the ground. He's good at receiving. He's too small, all the analytics. And then I compared him to DeAndre Swift. What are the odds that he gets drafted by the team that has DeAndre Swift? And the Lions keep doing this to themselves. I don't get it.
And then they moved DeAndre Swift.
They moved him. They moved him for a clone. One of the Lions
for a younger one. Maybe that was their
doesn't
thinking.
Work. I don't know what's worse, that they felt comfortable drafting him at number 6, which was where they were originally slotted to pick, or that they've already seen this movie before. They've drafted DeAndre Swift, Kerryon Johnson, Amir Abdullah, Javed Best. These are all the same guys. And I'm going to say this again. I know you say I don't do my homework, but this is why this pick is really bad. So since 2014, 64 running backs have weighed in under 200 pounds at the combine. All right. You want to know who's in the top 5 of those running backs? I'm not even going to give you a specific order. I'm just going to name the top 5 guys that I could pick off of this list.
And this
CJ Spiller.
This is your opinion, though.
Naheem Hines, Javed Best, Tariq Cohen, and Chris Thompson. I dare you to go look at that list. I'll send it to you. Find me 5 better guys on that list than these 5. That is everything you need to know of why this is a bad pick. I just don't know what the Lions are doing. And we've talked about their draft all weekend. And this just kicked off the avalanche of bad decisions. Jahmyr Gibbs, bad pick at number 12.
I agree. I had him as my second worst. And I'll add one more thing to what you said. At number 12, JT, guess who was still there? My guy, Christian Gonzalez. I mean, you just got rid of Jeff Okudah, right? You need some defense. Your offense seems to be okay. You need to be able to defend in this league nowadays, and you need to have corners. So, I mean, on top of that, that's another reason why it was a bad move. And I agree with you.
Dan Campbell showing that he has limitations as a coach. Let's go with.
But is he the GM?
I don't know, but I gotta imagine he has input on some of this.
I don't know, man. We saw some owners override some guys, by the way, and we won't get into it, but some owners supposedly high up on the board overrode their own GMs and coaches.
Yeah, it happens. All right, so
Houston.
Let's go with the steal of the draft. I really want to see what you got here.
Steal of the draft. I mentioned this guy in the draft preview. They got him in the 7th round, JT. It's Zach Kuntz, the tight end from ODU. And why I like him going to the Jets. Well, first, let me talk about him, right? He's the most athletic tight end in this draft. So think about how good this class was for tight ends, right? How many guys went early, went day one, then day two, especially. You get this guy in the 7th round. He's the most athletic. To me, I'll label him as this, and you can quote it, put it on Instagram. He is Gronk 2.0. All right.
Ooh.
He can separate from defenders. And why I really like him going to the Jets, Aaron Rodgers is there now. If he's still a bad man, Zach Kuntz no doubt will be Gronk 2.0.
Damn, I don't even know how I follow that up, but I'm also going to stick with a guy that I talked about in the preview show, and he landed in the perfect place. It's Stetson Bennett, 4th round to the Rams.
No.
I told you, man. Watching the combine, he surprised me. I think he has everything that's needed to be an NFL starter that I didn't think he had when I watched him play at Georgia. And then now you get to team up with Sean McVay.
You're drinking the Kool-Aid.
There is an already old quarterback in Matthew Stafford. Man, like, if any quarterback wants to land anywhere, Sean McVay is one of the places you want to go. And I think Stetson Bennett is perfect, man. He's got the mentality that if things are needed from him early on in his career, I think he can go out there and get it done. And you look at what McVay has done with quarterbacks with lesser talent. Like, they can go out there and win you a game. I think they got a steal, man. A big steal with Stetson Bennett. I don't care what you say.
What flavor is that Kool-Aid? Because you drinking it by the gallons, man.
Winners. So let's go. Let's go to teams that will regret their pick the most.
It's going, again, nothing against this guy, but going back to my worst pick, it's going to be the 49ers. Their first pick in the draft, JT, they didn't have one. And this is why it's the worst pick, and this is why they'll regret it. If they had 2 picks early on, I would say go for it then. You've taken a 1st and 2nd round talent, then get your kicker. That's fine. Like maybe New England did. This was your first pick. You didn't pick until the 3rd round because of trades you made with like the Dolphins, I think Carolina. So you're now picking finally in the 3rd round and you take a kicker. JT, listen to me.
He officially hates kickers and he officially hates running backs the same.
I don't.
For somebody that's supposed to be a special teams coach, I hope your guys aren't looking at this because they're like, damn, Don don't think we were shit.
No. Listen, no team is only a kicker away, especially in the NFL.
No,
JT.
You're right.
Like they're usually never a quarterback away unless it's Tom Brady. So like the other thing is, I just think it lacked the foresight of the future, right? They've been building. When you look at all their picks, they've always built for the future, trading up for Trey Lance, right? Letting him sit behind Jimmy G, right? They move, who was it? Forrest, I believe, to be able to get some 1st round picks from the Colts. Like they do all of this stuff and then they do this. Like I'm confused. That's why I think they'll regret it, because there were guys that could help them this year in the 3rd round, as well as in the future to replace aging guys, maybe like a George Kittle in the future when you've got a tight end class like this, right? Like, so that's why I think they'll regret it. And again, nothing against Jake Moody, but I mean, unless he's Adam Vinatieri or something, like ends up
even
being
if he
Justin
is Adam
Tucker,
Vinatieri, like it doesn't matter.
Maybe not. Maybe
it doesn't
not.
matter
because
Adam Vinatieri is only as good as the offenses that he's playing for.
Right.
Like he's got Tom Brady, so that's why he can be Adam Vinatieri.
Listen, unless maybe he's like Justin Tucker, where he can kick it on the reg like 60 yards plus. But again, I don't know if
that's one of one. That's
yes.
so rare.
This I don't know if Jake Moody's this guy.
Wow. So everyone watching, I apologize. I feel like we're spending too much time on kickers. So I can guarantee that I won't be talking about him, but I can't speak for this guy because, he's a special teams coach at heart. I had 2 really quick. At
heart, I am.
Yeah. So the first one is Tyree Wilson going number 7 to the Raiders. And I think he's talented, but when you look at what the doctors are saying about him, like he's already hurt. I didn't know this, but apparently he's had 2 Lisfranc surgeries and he's still not 100% from the most recent one. So I'm looking at that as, okay, Lisfranc, not good. And this pick was made even worse because you could have just picked Jalen Carter. He was right there. So you chose the guy who might not even be ready to play week 1 over Jalen Carter, who's a steal at this point at number 7. this could be another disaster for the Raiders. And the other one, really quick, I don't think it has anything to do with him per se. It's just his injury. The Titans, round 3, running back Tajay Spears from Tulane. Didn't know this either. Apparently, he has no ACL in his right knee, plus full cartilage loss, which basically is like end-stage arthritis. So that already means his career is going to be short. Most doctors are saying 2 to 3 years. So why would you waste a 3rd-round pick on a guy that already is going to be limited in the league? He's not going to start over Derrick Henry. That doesn't help you. And there were other running backs that were on the board. They could have taken A-Chain or Bigsby. Like, I just don't understand why they went in the 3rd round with the guy that is every doctor is saying he's gonna be out of the league in 2-3 years tops. So those two are the worst picks to me. I think those teams are gonna regret making those moves.
Why you got to do 2? Why you got to do 2?
Because I can't. It's my show. Flip it around.
Exactly.
Now this one is 2. 2 sleepers to keep an eye on from the future of this draft.
All right. Well, first, I agree with Just Curtis. Hey, if you don't have an ACL, you can't tear it. You know who didn't have an ACL? Hines Ward, and he was fine. So, and he played.
Who else had an ACL history and arthritis? Todd Gurley, and we see how that went.
Don't give him the second contract.
He won't even make it to the second contract.
Anyway, why?
All right, two players that are going to be big time from this draft. Who should we keep an eye out on?
Why do you got to root against guys? All right, the 2 sleepers to keep an eye out for in the future: Corey Thrice, Steelers cornerback from Purdue, 7th round. JT, he's tall, lengthy corner. That's what the Steelers need, but with athleticism, and he can stay with receivers. They said he tested well for his size, and more importantly, especially for playing in the Pittsburgh defense, he's a great tackler. Like, he's a phenomenal tackler. And listen, the reason why I love Joey Porter going in the 2nd round and us not taking him in the 1st at the end of the day, and now getting a guy like Corey in the 7th round, we're not the best organization lately in the past 20, 30 years of taking cornerbacks in the 1st round. All right. You can go down, whether it's Chad Scott.
Can we please not go down this list of sorry ass players? Scott, you suck. We get it. We get it. Keep it moving.
So I got him. And then the other guy is Deuce Vaughn. The Cowboys took him in round 6. And if you haven't seen this guy play in college, you did yourself a disservice. Out of Kansas State. Listen, he is the type of guy that can stick around the league for 10 plus years. He just figures out a way to just stick around and make plays. And he's going to be that guy that when Tony Pollard comes off the field, in comes Deuce Vaughn out of the backfield, dangerous, pick up that 1st down on a 3rd and 5, little swing route. And, he reminds me of those guys, another guy from Kansas State, I believe, Darren Sproles type of guy. That's how he's going to stay in the league 10 years, just the way Darren Sproles did. He'll find a way to make teams.
Love Deuce Vaughn. I mean, he was a beast. And then it's a feel-good story. His dad is a scout for the Cowboys. He got to make the call to his son saying that he got drafted.
That's pretty cool.
I do agree with you. I think he's going to be the back of the Tony Pollard. I think it's a good pick. My 2 Giants, round 2. I think they got a massive steal. John Michael Schmidt, center from Minnesota. He could have easily gone in the 1st round. And I think he's going to be their day 1 starter, possibly a rookie Pro Bowler. It's because he can play in both the zone and the gap scheme. So I like that pick. And then this is risky, but I feel it's a perfect landing spot for him. It's Kayshon Boutte, the wide receiver from LSU, landing in New England, round 6. He was way too talented to have fallen that far. And it might not be the stretch to say, hey, look, he could be their wide receiver 1. Like, that wide receiver room is not that good. And then you get a guy like Boutte that's in there. Guys can coach him up. They got Bill O'Brien that's actually calling the offensive plays now, a real offensive coordinator. So I think the Patriots actually drafted a good offensive player for once in a while, and I think Boutte will be a star.
Well, you still got to have the offense for him. And it concerns me, though. You go to a coach like that, JT, and what he's done at LSU, and you hear some of the stories of what happened at the bowl game.
You're right. And we'll find out real fast if he's for the NFL.
That's true. Exactly.
We'll find out real fast.
Exactly. So you definitely could hit go through the ceiling, go through the roof with that pick, or we could find out real quick you ain't even in the house.
I just never seen the Patriots draft somebody at wide receiver that has that kind of talent traits. But we'll see. You're right. He couldn't mess it up. But we can't have a draft recap without talking about your guy Will Levis. So
My God.
everyone thought he was expected to go in the first round. I thought he was going number 2. I was obviously wrong, but he fell to day 2, got picked up pretty quickly by the Titans. But it was painful to watch him in that green room with all his female fans. Why did Will Levis fall?
I think there's a couple of reasons. One, he just wasn't productive as people think. JT last year, literally a little over 2,400 yards, 2,406 yards, 19 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Like, that's not special. I'm sorry. And then the big concern that you start to see on social media, and again, it's social media, so you got to take it with a grain of salt because you got people like you running some of the Instagram accounts, just want drama. But, you've got supposedly kind of that attitude, kind of cockiness, and that's how he came off on interviews. And that probably turned away some of those teams that were on the fence of taking a quarterback. And, this is the thing. You look at the teams after Indianapolis, JT, they're trying to win now, or their coach is trying to win now, or their GM is trying to win now. So you look at the Raiders, Washington, Tampa, like, there's nothing new, whether it's GM or coach. Ron Rivera, McDaniels, Tampa, those guys are trying to win now. So they've either teams behind the Colts either had a QB, are trying to win now, or their coach or GM's trying to save their job. They don't have time for Will Levis. That's why he goes to Tennessee, because Vrabel's safe, right? And they have time for it. All those other teams didn't, and he just falls.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it was his cockiness in interviews, which was well documented.
You
and that's
hate
why
that. You hate when guys are like that.
No, but think about how cocky you have to be for NFL GMs to be turned off. It's like, we're cocky guys by nature as GMs, and like, that's way too much for us. Like, that's lets you know like what kind of attitude Will Levis has. And that also compounded by his poor play. Like, he hasn't really played well at all in his college career. Like, he lost out at Penn State, and then he came to Kentucky, did all right, but last year was horrible. For whatever reason, injuries, talent, he just didn't get it done. So I think what you said, teams thought it wasn't worth the risk. And it's like, I want to save my job. I don't have time to take on this project that metrics tells me is going to blow up in my face and not work out. And I agree with you on the social media stuff. It's just a bad vibe. If you really want to know how people feel about Will Levis, I don't know if you've seen this. Have you seen the interview that he had with Peyton Manning?
I did not.
Oh my gosh, that was painful to watch. So you got Peyton Manning, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time,
and pretty humble, right? Pretty humble.
You
he
can
always
ask
said the
him
right
any
thing.
advice about the game. Hey, like, what do I do when I get to training camp? What's the best tools to succeed in the NFL? What should I do? You know what he asked Peyton Manning? Hey, bro, tell me about the marketing stuff. What kind of marketing moves should I be making? And when I tell you, the look that Peyton Manning gave this kid was like, get the fuck out of here. Like, you got it all wrong. Like, Peyton Manning looked at him like, yeah, you're not going to make it because you're already coming in with the wrong mentality. And I think that's what it is. Like, you can't put the cart before the horse. You got to be good before you start thinking about your brand. And I think teams smelled that from a mile away, and they said it wasn't worth the trouble. So keeping it going with quarterbacks. 14 quarterbacks were drafted. Damn, that seems like a lot.
How many are going to make the active roster, though?
Damn. But out of those 14 quarterbacks, which quarterback do you think landed in the best spot?
I'm looking at it just from the standpoint of the actual quarterback. And I think this guy needed it more than anyone. And there's some good situations that these guys are going to, don't get me wrong. But I think this particular quarterback, he needed it more than anybody because of his injury. And that was Hendon Hooker, right? So he's not going to play right away, JT. And that's going to give him time to learn from a guy like Jared Goff. By the way, Jared Goff been to a Super Bowl, #1 overall pick, so he knows how to handle the hype. And
can we say that Jared Goff could be a top 5 quarterback in the NFC?
In the NFC, I'll give you that. We could possibly say that. So that's a good point. So now he gets a chance to rehab, doesn't have to rush. The team doesn't have to rush him. And he went in the 3rd round. No hype, JT. This isn't even like a Will Levis situation. Be like, dude, we traded up top of the 2nd round. No, this is 3rd round. We took this as more of a luxury pick. Then on top of that, I didn't realize this. Mark Brunell is there. and JT Barrett is there. So you've got two guys that have had success, whether it's been in the pros or college, that can help this guy. On top of that, Dan Campbell's secure for now. So that's always nice because he can be patient again with them. And the O-line, all right, if he ever does get a chance to play here, right now, this O-line is like a top 5 unit. And we always talk about you want to go to good situations. You know what helps? When you can stand upright and throw the ball.
Yeah, I want to go to situations where I'm not going to get killed.
Exactly. You're not getting sacked 60 times. I mean, that's the thing that would concern me if I'm CJ Stroud, like in Houston. All right. And like I said, he needed this more than any other quarterback because he needed a team that could be patient, that has a starter, like a bona fide starter, and it's Detroit. No offense. This isn't New England. It's not Pittsburgh. It's not Green Bay. It's not Kansas City. It's not San Francisco. It's Detroit. They will be patient with you if they believe in you, meaning the fan base. This isn't Philly. Like if he went to Philly, I would still say it's a bad spot. But because it's Detroit and all these other factors, they've got great young weapons. You know them all. You play fantasy. Like he's got it all. He just needs to worry about rehabbing and developing. And when Jared Goff's contract becomes an issue for like at some point, and it will, he'll be ready to take over. It's a great transition.
I agree with your working theory on that. The only thing I didn't like about him landing in Detroit is if Jared Goff doesn't do well, that kind of means that Dan Campbell's job is going to be on the line. So it's like a guy got taken in the 3rd round. The quarterback didn't work out. This big overhaul didn't work out. And now Campbell's gone. Like, does the front office still feel the same way about Hooker? But here's the thing. Flip side of that is he could show enough in practice, and then maybe he gets in some games as a backup. They're like, hey, like it didn't work out with Jared. We can work with Hendon Hooker on this rookie deal. So I can see it going either way, but I do like the spot in theory just because it's a bad division and the offense is good.
Yeah, the only thing I would say, like you were talking about Dan Campbell, I'm starting to notice, JT, and you've mentioned it before, I think a lot of these shots are being called by the GM and the owner. So if the coach is gone, but the owner's bringing in a coach and the owner really likes Hendon Hooker, guess who the coach has to get along with? Hendon Hooker.
I get you. I like it. I'm going with the low-hanging fruit. It's your guy, Anthony Richardson, man. Like, he couldn't have landed in a better spot. You get the full undivided attention of Shane Steichen, whose track record is as good as anybody over the last 5 years in the NFL. Coach Justin Herbert for 2 years as the offensive coordinator out west, and he just turned a quarterback in Jalen Hurts, who's very similar to you, into a superstar. Got him a massive contract. Got him to a Super Bowl. Now this guy is turning his full undivided attention to you. If I'm Anthony Richardson, I am excited as hell. Like, I couldn't have dreamt and prayed to have landed in a better spot than the Colts.
And I'll add one more, and I don't know if you said this, but you know who the OC is?
Who is the OC for them?
Jim Bob Cooter, who was the passing coordinator for Trevor Lawrence. On top of that, you got Minshew's going to start. You're in the AFC South. It ain't like it's world beaters over there. It's not like the
According to you, last year it was.
Well, for me, yeah. But it's not like the AFC North where it's like, man, you're just getting crushed every week by these defenses. Like, I agree.
It's the perfect division that if he has to start games, he can learn on the job and still not get shell-shocked.
Mm-hmm.
Any other thoughts on that?
No, we good. Go on to the next one. Why are you slowing down?
Hey, look, I thought you might want to intro this because, you know, you hate him so much.
Oh, you want me to intro? All right.
Yeah, go ahead. Hey, you hate him.
I do not. I do not. All right, so the Ravens finally signed JT's favorite player, Lamar Jackson, to a long-term contract. They signed him to a 5-year deal worth $260 million with $185 million guaranteed. Now, the thing is, we don't know how much of that is fully guaranteed. But, JT, I think I know the answer, so I don't even know why I'm asking. But give us a good soundbite here. Was this a good move by the Ravens?
100%. He's a superstar, and he's their best chance to win a Super Bowl. And I like that they made this move at the same time. They're stepping away from the Greg Roman era and stepping into the Todd Monken era. So what that means is they're going to lead the league in passing attempts. And I've always said this before. I've always wanted to see Lamar play in one of these wide open new age NFL passing attacks so he can really show people what he's capable of. If he made an MVP season in a Greg Roman run first offense, I'm so excited to see what he's going to do in this offense. And now you add that with he's got the contract situation out of the way. He's got nothing to worry about except going out there and focusing on football. I'm excited.
Yeah, of course it's the right move. I mean, come on. MVP quarterbacks are really hard to come by, right? They're really hard to find. I mean, ask the Ravens until they found Lamar. They had brought in guys, Elvis Gerbach. They had drafted Kyle Bowler. I mean, you go down the list with them. And they couldn't find one, right? He is the reason, like you said, that realistically they always have a chance at possibly winning the Super Bowl, at the very least win their division and get into the playoffs. So listen, the Ravens, they're not your grandfather's defense anymore. They're not your father's defense anymore. Like, they need offense. This is an offensive league. You need to have a guy like Lamar Jackson. This is my concern though, JT, is the animosity. Can that be overlooked now that it's signed? Because this is the thing. Will the organization, when he starts to hit any rough patch, and every quarterback does, I mean, look at Aaron Rodgers. Like, when that happens, is the organization going to hold the contract against him? More importantly, are the fans going to hold the whole negotiations and the big contract against them? Like, at the first sign of problems. I mean, whether it's his play, whether it's the record of the team, because now he's eating up a bigger percentage.
The injuries, if they
or the injuries, exactly. And that was the big one. Like, that's my concern now for Lamar, is more of how is everyone else going to handle it? Because he got his, which he should, and the Ravens made the right move. I just don't like maybe the price it came at, meaning the negotiations, the animosity.
But this is the price of doing business. I mean, everybody is negotiating contracts. The only thing is his was just super public. But also, I mean, I'm pretty sure maybe it wasn't as bad as the media made it seem, as like between him and the Ravens. Because I mean, if it was really bad, they would have just said, hey, we're not going to pay you, show up on the tag, or they could have traded him. So the fact that they were willing to work with him tells me that it's probably closer to it wasn't as bad as we thought it was.
And this is going to grind your gears, but I got to do it. This is why you need an agent to put all of this stuff keep it in-house. Yes, to keep it in-house.
So let's talk about the agent. Let's talk about the agent. Obviously, he don't need one. So let's talk about the agent. So what is the? I'm going to ask you. I know it's your question, but what is him getting the contract done? What does this mean for the future of NFL contracts?
Oh, it's done nothing different. I mean, it's done nothing different because the Hurts and Lamar contracts have started to reset the QB market again. Listen, Jalen Hurts got it done, but think about this, JT. Jalen Hurts is not an MVP guy. He's only done it 1 year, and he got just as good of a contract as Lamar. So, but maybe that means the agent did help him, right? And can you imagine if Lamar actually had an agent? But
does it mean that the value of the agent in these certain circumstances, like I've talked about before, where you basically are the next guy up at your position, like a superstar, it sort of took a hit. Like Lamar was basically able to get a deal done that was able to reset the market without an agent. I gotta believe that some guys that are, especially quarterbacks, like, I love my agent, but do I really need it? If anything, I feel like you won't feel the ripple effects of this maybe until some of these younger guys that are just coming into the league are up for their second contracts. I think the guys like Burrow and Herbert, they're already locked in with agents. Like, they built those relationships. Yeah. But if I'm like, let's say maybe like a sophomore or junior in college, and I'm like, hey, Lamar did it without an agent, I might need one to get into the league. But if I actually ball out, do I really need to have that agent to get the deal done? If they think I'm worth it?
I don't think we'll ever really know, JT, because we're not behind closed doors. You know what I mean? So, for example, my point is Deshaun Watson. He's phenomenal. We would agree in terms of what he did at Houston, right? Now, he had all those off-field things. He was able to get fully guaranteed. And the thing is, Could he have done that? So what I mean by like he's great on the field is that he would have been, I think, one of those guys you would put in that spot to say, does he need an agent? Well,
Yeah,
could he have got it?
It's only a percentage of the players
Right.
that could actually
But
do
what
this.
I'm saying, before the off-field stuff, you would have put him in that category as his new contracts coming up, right? You would have been like, he's in that Lamar category that
he can get the deal done himself.
He can get the deal done. But my thing is, could he have gotten what he did in Cleveland without an agent, meaning fully guaranteed? I just don't believe it. That's why I think we'll never know the importance of an agent.
You're right, but there could be an argument to be made that maybe if it was Cleveland, he would have got it done sooner because they're just not that smart, because they gave the deal to Deshaun Watson. So it could go either way. Like, the Ravens are probably a smarter organization than the Browns, and that's why it took as long as it did, and that's why he didn't get exactly what Watson got. So we say this all the time, dumb teams make dumb choices. So it just depends on who you're doing business with. That's what I think.
And to wrap it up, I think the reason why I say nothing changes here too is this is resetting the market. Jalen Hurts, Lamar's contract, Kyler's, it's resetting the market, putting in the head of guys like Burrow and Herbert. Hey, don't expect 230 million fully guaranteed, right? Like, expect something maybe as we go a year or two down the road, a little bit higher than Jalen, a little bit higher than Lamar, but don't expect fully guaranteed.
One more thing on this before I go on to the next thing. I think that the NFL is going to catch a break, though, because I think the guys that are going to be next up, they also have to think about those guys may take a little bit of a discount because they're on winning teams with Super Bowl windows. So that can be pitched to them. Oh, take a little bit less. We can keep some of these weapons. Like, Burrow's going to have to go through that. Justin Herbert's going to have to go through that. Mahomes at some point might have to go through that again. So the NFL is going to catch a break. So before we move off of football, talking about Lamar, black quarterbacks, I do want to go back to the NFL draft really quick. So Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson were drafted 1, 2, and 4 respectively. It's the first time ever that 2 black quarterbacks were taken with picks 1 and 2. And it's also the first time that 3 black quarterbacks were taken in the top 10 of the draft. I just want to get your opinions on the significance of that.
Yeah, I think anytime something happens for the first time and it's a good thing, like, it's newsworthy. And this is a great thing. The significance is that hopefully it's just the beginning in terms of this occurring, like, in the future. And at the same time, I would want to say, let's not forget about the QBs that came before him, guys that maybe some people have never even heard of, like Joe Gilliam, Vince Evans, got Warren Moon, of course, Doug Williams. Like, that led to this moment, right? Everything they had to go through, persevere, and succeed. And I also think a big part of this is also to the recent success of guys like Mahomes, Lamar, Jalen Hurts, who they didn't go top 10, JT. Like, they didn't go top 10 like these guys. But looking back at redrafts, guess what? You better believe they go in top 10. They probably go in top 5, top 3. So it can't just be the only time this happens, because then it's like we're going backwards, right? And I would even say this, even if they don't succeed, even if all 3 don't succeed, right? And they don't get that next big contract because they didn't play well, like, that should not change the way teams draft in the future, meaning they should just draft on their evaluation, what they see, what college coaches say, and they shouldn't judge it on, skin color, like, or whatever stereotypes there were before. Because you look at a draft a couple years ago, guys like Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, they all failed, right? But again, white quarterbacks will be drafted time and time again in the top 5, top 10. So I'm hoping that this is not the only time it happens, and it better not be the only time it happens.
I agree 100%. And I'll even take it a step further. I thought it was significant and very encouraging for the future that this showed that the NFL is willing to invest in the full diaspora of the black quarterback experience. Like, think about the quarterbacks that went top 10 in this draft. The pro-ready guy, Bryce Young, right. The project with the upside through the roof, Anthony Richardson. And then you have the low ceiling, high floor guy in CJ Stroud. Like, it just shows, like, hey, look, we think these guys are the best 3 quarterbacks, even though their skill sets and their games and their range of outcomes are all different. And we are taking them because we think they are the best 3 quarterbacks. And I think the fact that they were willing to take 3 different types of black quarterbacks, I think it's very encouraging for the future of the NFL.
Yeah, because they did the same thing a few years ago with Josh Allen, right? He wasn't quite ready to play, but guess what? They still took him really early. And that's good to see a guy like Anthony Richardson getting that same opportunity and chance that a guy like Josh Allen is getting. That's a good
Yeah,
point.
you see that same scenario with a guy like a Josh Allen, a Daniel Jones, and then like a Baker Mayfield. Like they're all 3 different types. And for NFL teams to be able to take a chance on them, I think that was really great. All right.
Real quick, the comment there, Sports PSP, appreciate you watching. As always, your thoughts on Anthony Richardson going to Indy. JT hit upon it. So real quick, we love it for him being able to sit behind Minshew. He's got all the support staff in terms of coaches being offensive coaches. Shane Steichen having coached Jalen Hurts not only as quarterback coach, but then offensive coordinator. And he's going to have time, hopefully, to grow there. So we love Anthony Richardson going to Indy.
I think personally it was the best landing spot amongst all quarterbacks, and I would agree Don would say it's at worst top 3. All right, can we talk about some NBA playoffs, man?
I mean, it's on the schedule. You're going to want to talk about it, even though you're missing your Heat game, but you're a Heat fan.
I am. If you be quiet, I can get to it. All right, before we get into the playoffs, we got to talk about Joel Embiid that just came out. He won the MVP. Go ahead, give us your thoughts. I know Germ is somewhere gloating, so I won't say too much. I'll let you guys have your moment. Go ahead.
You know what's funny about this, JT? Like I went back, I looked at the team records, I looked at the stats. I mean, I was telling you last year, Embiid should have won. The Nuggets only won 48 games last year. They won 53 this year. And I mean, Jokic has literally the same stats except a couple less points a game. Embiid has the same stats as he did last year. They won like 2 less games in Philly, but he has 3 more points per game. Like, I don't get it. I really don't get it. So it's either you did have voter fatigue or you realize you messed up last year and now you're giving it to Embiid, because either he should have won both of these years or Jokic should have 3 in a row. Like, figure it out. Or if you're trying to be fair, then just admit that and we can move on and know that maybe the MVP award isn't truly going to the right MVP every time. Like, I'm just confused. It's not a bad thing, and I'm not saying Jokic should get it, but then what about Giannis? We obviously saw the Bucks are not that good without Giannis. Like, I don't know what else to say. Obviously, Embiid has Harden, and you see that last night. So it's like, what about Giannis? Can Giannis get some love or no? Because he already has one, and he won an NBA title. Like,
I'm confused. Are you mad that Embiid didn't get it, or are you mad at the voters? Like, are you mad at the award? Are you mad at the award? You're like, oh, he deserved it. But like, why couldn't they give it to Giannis? Make up your damn mind. No, I agree with you.
It goes back to last year.
I think all things can be true in the situation. I think it was just a perfect storm. The best thing I think he had going for him was, correct me if I'm wrong, led the league in scoring back-to-back years, right?
Mm-hmm.
That right there is amazing. Like, for a big man, too, for a center.
Yeah.
So
I mentioned it last year. I forget the first time since I don't even know Shaq.
Yeah, and then he did it again. So that right there, I think, was a lock for him to win MVP. And I think all the other things, the voter fatigue with Jokic, what Jokic hasn't accomplished in the playoffs, Jokic still playing at the same level, and it's not as impressive to everyone anymore. You know, I think all those things. And then we can't, just brush over like the comments that Kendrick Perkins made. Like, that's been echoed by other people. So I think it was just a perfect storm, and it was an easy decision. I thought it was an easy decision just to give it to him. Like, what did the NBA gain by not giving it to Joel Embiid? Like, he clearly deserved it, but like, what was there to gain by not giving it to him? But hats off to him. I mean, he's worked his ass off to stay healthy. I mean, no indictment on him being hurt now, but he's worked his ass off to be healthy the past 2 years. He's dominated. And this is what we kind of thought he would do when he was taken number 1 overall. And, they tanked for him in the process and everything. So
no, he was not number 1 overall.
He wasn't. He was number 2?
He fell because of the injuries.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, they named the process after him, and I feel like he's embodied what Philly has tried to do. So I know I talk shit with you guys. I'm happy that he's got MVP and he deserves it. For sure.
He's earned it, not just deserved it. He has earned it. Like you said, he's battled from injuries, back-to-back scoring title. Like, I mean, come on, he's earned it. I'm just confused on how they're voting nowadays. That's all.
We don't know. Voting is weird. But let's go to the playoffs. We're in the conference semifinals, and there's some great matchups, including my Heat. But let's talk about the guy who didn't win MVP, Jokic and the Nuggets. They faced the Suns. So that means the reigning MVP is going against a former MVP, of course, in KD. So this is an interesting question. Which player needs to win this series more for their legacy, KD or Jokic?
It's a really good question. About time you come up with a good one. Listen, it's easy, though. It's Jokic. I mean, KD has 2 titles, and JT, I don't care what anyone says, and I don't care how you win them, as long as they weren't fixed. Like, if you have a title, the pressure's off. If James Harden had a title, didn't matter if it was in Philly and Brooklyn, the pressure would be off. And yes, while Jokic is younger and will still have chances to do this, presumably, like, the pressure is on, right? And this is the reason why. Think about not only multiple MVPs, right, which Jokic is at this point, but just someone who's won an MVP at all. Going back, I'm not going to read you all of the names because there's multiple in here. But
please don't read us all the names.
Since 1990, my point is, listen to these names and just think about what you think of this player, all right? 1990 was Magic. Then you've got MJ, all right? Then you've got Barkley, all right?
Okay, I get it. You don't have to read the rest of the list. I get what you're saying.
Hold on, I'm not done.
He's not considered an all-time great.
I'm not done. You've got Barkley. Then you've got Hakeem. Then David Robinson. There's a difference there. Then you've got MJ again. Then Karl Malone. And then if you go into the 2000s, 2001 Iverson. Then Duncan, Garnett, Nash, Nowitzki. Of those guys, I would say of all the guys I've named that have not won one, then you've got Westbrook hasn't won one. Derrick Rose hasn't won one. Harden, and now Jokic and Embiid. Forget Embiid for now. Of all those guys that did not win a title, you know, the only guy that probably gets mad respect no matter what is Allen Iverson. Everyone else looks at a Karl Malone, looks at Barkley. The first thing that comes out of your mouth, you didn't win a title. You didn't win a title.
Well, it's because of Iverson's size. And then the one time we did see him go to the finals, it was like, no, God himself couldn't have won that series.
He had no chance. Like Derrick Rose is always, did he win an MVP? Because people think of all the injuries. That is my whole point in this exercise, is that I don't care that KD had to go to the Warriors. He's got his ring. He's got his MVP. Goodbye, good night. Jokic, this pressure is all on you, buddy. You've got to come through.
Great process. I like how you got to the answer, but it's wrong. I disagree. It's obvious it's KD. And it's because if he doesn't beat the Nuggets, which they're already down 1-0, and go talk with Marcus. We love him as part of the network too. I know you looked at me crazy when I was on your show last week. And before this series, I told you the Nuggets would destroy the Suns. For reasons, go watch his show. But it's KD, because if they don't win this series, this will be 3 times outside of Golden State where KD has failed to get it done. And those teams have had talent. He had talent in OKC, he had talent in Brooklyn, and he has talent with Phoenix now. I don't understand what else does he need to get it done besides having Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. It's obviously KD, and it's more damaging for his legacy because we know where KD is and we know where people are trying to put him. He's always in those conversations of he's the best player in the world. We love his talent. He's the most talented player in the world. All right, we gotta stop using that as a crutch. And then also too, you're gonna have, when his career is done, and let's say he doesn't win another title, you're gonna have guys like you, they're gonna want to put him in the top 10 just strictly based on talent alone and the 2 titles that he purchased out the Bay Area. It doesn't matter.
He's got them.
That's why this is so important for his legacy, because if he loses to Jokic and the Nuggets with this team with CP3 and Devin Booker, some people are going to look at him a little bit differently, and he won't get the Iverson treatment of, oh yeah, he's a smaller guy, we like that. No, this is KD. You are a superhuman. It's you and LeBron. You have to get it done, and we've seen you fail 3 times, and it's going to hurt his legacy.
But see, there's going to be a lot of people like me that are like, yo, KD's talent, wow, like he beat LeBron.
And that's why I hate it. I got into this argument with Marcus. That's why I hate talking basketball, because people factor in so much of talent into NBA discussions.
But he's produced.
It wouldn't be a thing. He has produced, but we're talking about all-time greats. He ain't there.
Yeah.
He ain't there yet.
How can you not?
All right, so let's go with some quick predictions on some of these series. All right, so Lakers versus Warriors. Who you got?
I got this funny feeling, man. I got this feeling. It's the Lakers. It's the Lakers. LeBron, he's on a mission, 0 dark 30. What's he call it? I think that's what he calls it, right? Listen, AD is healthy and balling. I told you this when they made those trades at the deadline. What did I say? I like how they brought in shooters, and I like how they have depth. They've got Austin Reeves, your guy. They've got Malik Beasley, shooters. They've got depth now at certain positions. I like it. And I think Golden State, listen, they're getting older, going through 7-game series, JT. That's not what you want to be in. You don't want to be in a dogfight the first round. Go ask the early 2000 Lakers when they had to go through battle-tested series and then have to face the Pistons. Nah, that's not the recipe to win a title.
I agree with you for everything you just said. It does feel like a LeBron series. And I think the Kings mentally might have taken a little bit of steam out of Golden State in that last series because it went the distance. But just look at the little things like you already kind of mentioned the Lakers are doing. AD, quietly the best defensive player in the playoffs, leading all the players in rebounds and blocks. Like this is
nice
vintage
block shots.
This is vintage AD. And then also I think an underrated piece that people aren't talking about is our guy, Jarrett Vanderbilt, who I've been seeing this pop up everywhere. Scouts are saying that around NBA circles, he is the best big man at guarding guards on the perimeter. So it's just a perfect storm. And I think LeBron is the catalyst for this. And it's like, if anybody can knock Steph Curry and the Warriors off, it's LeBron. He's done it before. The Lakers are coming, man. I think they're going to get this one.
JT, how about that question from Jason Curtis? We can save this one for the end of the playoffs, but just give like a quick 20-second preview of what your answer would be.
If Golden State beats LA, then wins the title, does Curry jump LBJ all-time greatness? Oh, I've already given this answer before in a previous episode. Yes, because this is already teetering on the Steph Curry era with titles alone. This is definitely going to push him over LeBron James, in my opinion.
I'm taking that on. That's ridiculous.
I don't care. I don't care what you say.
One. This is what I got to deal with. Someone like, come on.
All right, so let's get to the other series that I can't watch right now because I'm doing this show with you. Heat.
You selected this time.
Heat Knicks. Heat Knicks. Who you got?
Man, sorry to say, I'm rooting for the Heat, but New York Knicks. Julius will come back. Jimmy Butler's out game 2. I can see that lingering. You're already down Tyler Hero. It's about depth in the playoffs. If Jalen Brunson stays healthy and Julius comes back, I think it's the Knicks in 6.
Well, I'm not sure because I saw that Brunson and Randall are both game time decisions. I'm not sure if they're playing. And then they're saying Jimmy B is out. They're playing?
Well, I didn't get a chance because you've got you have me doing this show. But the Vegas line did jump significantly.
Because Jimmy B is out.
And I think it was more that they knew Brunson was going to play as well.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I will say this. Jimmy Butler being hurt is a big deal. I saw that he was saying that the ankle sprain wasn't as bad as it looked. It looked bad. And the bar where I was, everyone just was quiet. But you just never know, man. Like, he could come back next game and be fine. But if Jimmy B is out there, I think that he can roll this team. And I just think it will come down to Jimmy Butler is just that guy in the playoffs. And Coach Bo is better than Tibbs. So I think Jimmy B's health, the Heat win.
Jalen and Julius are playing tonight, but the Heat are up 46-43 at the moment. But you need Jimmy Butler, man. And
if we can steal the first 2 games with missing the Butler, I think that's a big sign because he will be back.
I don't know. I got this feeling it's going to be a tough series. It's going to be a tough series. It's going to be a good one though. All right, so before we go, we got to get it in real quick. Forget about it or Fugazi, the most popular segment in all of sports talk. All right, the way it works, going to read a statement. If you agree with it or you think it's a hot take, you say, hey, forget about it. If you think it's a bad take, you say Fugazi, it's fake. All right, so first one, Will Levis not returning to the green room for day 2 is a red flag.
Fugazi, I hate this notion that you have to take embarrassment at all costs. The guy handled day 1 as well as you could. He sat there, he smiled with all of his girlfriends, and then he's like, you know what? I'm going to go home on day 2 and be with my family. What's wrong with that? I don't get it. if anything, the red flags are the things that we talked about: his play, the selfies, and him prioritizing what's important. So him not coming back day 2 is irrelevant.
Yeah, it's Fugazi. I mean, if he went back, hey, great for him. He's like, you know what? I've got this fortitude. If he doesn't, I don't think that's any sign of his character or how he does on the field. So, Fugazi.
All right, next one. I actually said this on Marcus's show, and I guess it's sticking. Jimmy Butler is LeBron-like in the playoffs. Forget about it or
Who's it
Fugazi.
sticking with? You came up with it and you wrote this one. Don't act like Stephen A. Smith is saying this. And hey, from
The streets
Jimmy
are talking.
Thompson.
That's that. Hey, it's been thrown around. I saw videos of it.
Man, I'm gonna say Fugazi. There's only one LeBron like in the playoffs.
You just couldn't give it to me. You thought about it. You're like, damn, that's actually kind of true. It's close.
Out the window. Nope. There's only one LeBron like 0 target 30.
I gotta say, forget about it. Like Jimmy Butler in the playoffs and playing with guys who you think are just not that great talent wise is amazing, man. Like if anything, you're seeing how similar him and LeBron are, and I think people are starting to look at the bubble as maybe it wasn't a fluke because 2 of the guys in the league that have that dog in them was all about basketball in the bubble, and look where we are now. They're doing it again. They're willing their teams past where people thought they would be. So I'm going to agree with it.
Well, I think Jason Curtis agrees with you too.
I know geniuses, all geniuses think alike. You need to take notes.
Listen. See, he's taking a cheap shot at LeBron. That's why I don't like this comparison. Look at that cheap shot. Until Butler loses 3 finals, I guess it's Fugazi. God, come on. LeBron went to like 10 NBA finals in a row. All right. Colorado Buffaloes should be concerned so far with the Dion era because of the mass transfers.
Oh, forget about it. I think this is a real big issue for 2 reasons. The one is, I would say this again, Dion should have gone to USF instead of a program that didn't even want to invest in their sports program anymore. And I get it. Like year 1 into college is tough. Like you talked about it last year. Lincoln Riley went to USC. They lost like 40 plus guys that first year.
50 plus.
It happens. But I think the issue with Dion is deeper. And I think it has to do with his coaching style. The same coaching style that black players take from guys like Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, Dabo Swinney. We don't seem to take that from black coaches. Like you see it at every level. Like look at the black coaches that are in college football. Guys like Charlie Strong or Mel Tucker. Like they all have the same demeanor. Like they have not seen a guy like Dion. And usually when the coaches are fiery like that, like a Saban, we don't respond well for some reason to that. So I like Dion, but I don't think the players at the D1 level are going to respond to him the way that they respond to like a Saban or another coach that is fiery like that. And I don't know why that is, but that seems to be the case. Like the players don't like the way that Dion is talking to them. Everyone's transferring. Like it just seems like something is not a fit at Colorado, and maybe it will take time to fix, but I'm worried as of now.
No, it's Fugazi because of what you said about the whole USC thing. And I've told you this multiple times because you obviously remember it. So I must be saying something right. They lost like 50. They had a turnover of like 53 guys transferring out. And they got to the Pac-12 title game. Like this is common nowadays, JT. I mean, Mario Cristobal tried to do it last year. It just took this year for there to be a mass exodus of the transfer portal for Miami because they want guys in there that are their guys. Right? That are their guys. And, I mean, you've got all sorts of players, positions, type of guys that are transferring out. It's not just one type of player. So it's Fugazi. You've got to at least see one season.
I agree with you on the time frame. That's why I brought it up. But I'm really serious about the coaching style. Watch that. That is going to determine his tenure and success there.
I don't want this to go. I don't want because it's.
I get it. We can talk about that another time, but just watch
real quick. It worked at Jackson State.
Yeah, but it's different, man. They needed you. The players needed you at Jackson State. These players might not feel they need you.
They definitely do. It's Colorado.
If they don't like what you got to say, this is D1 football.
Colorado.
The time period of NIL. Players don't listen as much as they used to. All right, next one. The Clippers need to blow it up. Forget about it or Fugazi.
Real quick, shout out to Mike Powers. Thanks for watching. Yeah, I hate saying this, but it's forget about it.
Don't you do it. Don't you do it.
It's forget about it. Listen, those guys can't stay healthy.
I'm on team PG and Kawhi. Like, you can't do this.
I've been
with them your damn Clippers jersey.
I've been them to the death, but it's over for me, JT. Like, for you to play in game 2, and then all of a sudden you've got a knee sprain, game 3, but it kind of was like already bothering you before game 2. Like, I don't know what else to say anymore. I don't know what else to say anymore. PG-13 has a great year. Every time he has a great year, something comes up. It was the shoulder the 1 year. Now it's like, I just can't do it anymore, man. I can't. Why keep doing it when we know what the answer is going to be at the end?
About time you came around. Yes, absolutely. They need to blow this up for everything you just said. Paul George is a walk-in injury. It's the shoulders, the kneecaps, the ankles, the ribs, the back, everything. And then not to mention, the boy gets spooked when pressure gets too hard. The man had a mental breakdown in the bubble. But the biggest reason they need to blow it up is because of Kawhi.
PG.
You remember he was having the whole mental breakdown in the bubble? You don't remember that?
I don't.
Go look it up. He definitely did. But the biggest reason why they need to blow it up is because Kawhi's done. And I think this is what teams have known, and now it's coming toward the end of it. Kawhi, whatever it is, it's degenerative, and this is where we are. He's never going to play a lot of games, and you got to hope that if your team does make the playoffs, he can contribute. Like, I think that's why they were trying to preserve him in San Antonio, and I think that's why they've been preserving him ever since. It's just nothing you can do about it. And once he has reached this stage, the whole outlook looks different. So you got to blow it up, do something else, because you can't rely on these two guys.
Yeah, only thing is I don't know what they can do at this point because some of the contracts. But last one, Donovan Mitchell is overrated.
Forget about it. I've been saying this.
You're such a hater. You fit everything to your narrative.
I said this. You could have taken it out of the show. But I said this in Utah. Who the hell is Donovan Mitchell to get players sent away and be demanding all this stuff? Oh, and guess what? It just wasn't Utah. What do you know? He goes to Cleveland. They disappoint. And now what's all the rumors? Oh, for sure. He wants to be in New York. It's like, bro, like, why is Donovan Mitchell getting to do all this stuff and have this cachet? Like, he Allen Iverson going to the finals and losing and nobody talking about it. Like, it's Donovan Mitchell. Like, he has not earned that level of respect yet. I don't even think he's better than Darius Garland. Yes, Donovan Mitchell is the issue. And until he shows me something else, I think he's overrated, and he's always going to be the issue.
You are such a hater. Like, JT is a hater.
Is he overrated or not? Forget about what I said. What do you think? So we can wrap this up.
I mean, what do you think I'm going to say? I mean, what do you think?
I don't know. I mean, the way you going at me, you would think Donovan Mitchell's a top 5 player. So if he's anything other than that, you better agree with me.
But he's not.
Is he overrated or not? Just say it.
No, it's Fugazi. That's a terrible statement. All right, like, that's a terrible statement, dude. The guy, since he's been in the league, he's averaged more than 20 points a game. He's past year,
how much?
More than 20 points per game, at least minimum every year.
You know how I feel about 20 points per game.
This past year, someone's got to score it. This past year, 28.3 points, 4 boards, 4.5 assists. He took them to what, the 4 seed? Like, he's rejuvenated that franchise that was decimated after LeBron left. He gives them a chance to get in the playoffs every year and to win.
Didn't they make the playoffs last year?
Yeah, but look what they were so much better.
Oh my God, that rejuvenation!
They were so much
better. Rejuvenation. Yeah, oh my God, he got us back to the same exact spot we were.
You're missing the point. There's a different feeling and energy there.
Yeah, it feels like a bigger disappointment.
When the Heat made the playoffs in 2009, JT, 3 years removed from the title, you knew you weren't winning in 2009. But LeBron came and Chris Bosh, and there was a rejuvenation, even though you had been to the playoffs the year before. So that's my whole point here, is that gives Cleveland that chance because they know they have that star power now with Donovan Mitchell. They can bring in other pieces to want to play with Donovan Mitchell. He's not overrated. How do you score 28?
They already said he wants to go to New York.
Let me tell you something.
For everyone watching at home, Don said Donovan Mitchell going to Cleveland is like LeBron coming to Miami. Oh, the rejuvenation. You're right. I feel it.
But JT, that doesn't matter what players he's being sent or he wants to go to. That has nothing to do with him as a player. If you don't like that he's leaving, that's one thing.
I do think he's overrated. I think he's a volume scorer. He's a volume scorer. He's a volume scorer that has. He's a liability on defense at this point.
You're such a hater. You hate guys.
I'm telling you the truth.
Stat sheet. You know why?
He don't add no value.
You want to be them.
You don't add no value.
You want to be them.
Oh, please. If I want to be anybody in the NBA, I promise you it won't be Donovan Mitchell. I got better options than that.
28 points a game.
I'd rather be Dylan Brooks. At least that boy having fun.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to be Donovan Mitchell. 28 points per game and on a max contract. No one wants to be Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, whatever.
Are we done with this show?
We're done. Can we get out of here? Because I'm so tired of talking to you.
We played fair up until the end, and then you had to go say terrible things. Fugazi.
You wanted to say stupid. I get it.
Fugazi things. All right. So to the fans and listeners out there, thank you for always listening to us and putting up with JT. And remember to please subscribe to us. You can find us on all of the major platforms. And remember, if you like what we do, leave us a 5-star review. And JT,
if you don't like what we do,
leave us a 5-star review. Again, JT and the Don on Sports podcast presented by Give Us a Shot Network. And remember, you can also follow us on social media. Our handle, JT and the Don. We can be found on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook. So, JT, a lot of fun. Great episode, man. And until the next episode, see ya.
Peace.